Okay, team, welcome back to the Anchor of the Week, where we have hard conversations, hear people's stories, and challenge perspectives. My name is Zach.
And I'm Courtney.
And we are the Anchor of the Week.
Yes.
Right.
We are super excited for today. As always, again, I need to get a different synonym, a different adjective. But we are excited.
Yes.
Because
buzzing.
we are starting a new series today.
Yeah. We are talking about the human longing. That is the big title for this episode. Yes. We feel like this is something that people actually don't think about enough. And
consciously, at
least.
Yes,
consciously, yeah.
We'll get into that, though.
And so we want to have this conversation to kind of put people maybe a bit more aware of, like, their actions might have something to do with this.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into that a little bit.
Exactly. And this is like our intro episode. And then actually over the next few weeks, we'll be going to different parts of the UK, which we are super excited about.
Yeah.
To kind of ask the same general question, what's that thing that's on your heart that you're longing for, but you feel like you haven't, that untangible, unreachable thing. Yeah. And we want to see, does it change,
Yeah.
based on where you are, on lifestyle, on just like culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it'd be even cooler if we could go abroad and stuff like that. But obviously,
hey, maybe there'll be a part two.
Maybe they will. Yeah. But we really think that maybe circumstances in people's lives affect this. Mm-hmm. For example, if you don't have much money, this is a very simple example, but if you don't have much money, then maybe your big human longing is to have lots of money. If you already have lots of money, then obviously that's not going to be the case.
Or opposite.
Yep.
Maybe when you don't have a lot of money, you realize that you don't need a lot of money, so your longing is for something else.
Cool, yeah.
But when you have a lot of money, you just need more.
Yeah. It literally, yeah. We want to discover those things. Yeah.
But before we go into all of that and hearing people's stories and their perspectives on that, we're going to backtrack quite a bit. And today, we're talking all about the human longing and just kind of where that comes from, how at least we think it might affect us, and of course we'll have our perspectives. So it'll be cool to see if we go out on, the streets and just how like that differentiates from like what we initially think. Because obviously Zach and I love to have the deep conversations and the hard conversations and really think about things and like dive into things, but maybe people don't think so deeply about this, which will be very interesting. Yeah. But yeah.
I think, though, touching on that again, I think it is going to be interesting. And I know, because just from past conversations, I don't think people do think about this as deep, or they just live their life and they go to bed and they don't realize that everything they're doing is trying to reach something that they maybe don't have, or they're lacking or something, or that they love. I don't know. Yeah.
I think this is also a big point too, is like how will this affect every other part of your life subconsciously? Yeah. Because, but maybe it's because, like, you and I, we're Christians. Like, we understand that, like, we were created for something more than beyond, like, just ourselves, Yeah. So we have kind of this already inherent, like, awareness, like, oh, like, I am made from more than just what I see, But if you're kind of not in that context or a similar context that, like, I think encourages that introspection, then, I don't know if this is a thought that you'd ever think about, but I'm constantly like, oh my gosh, did I make that decision because I actually want this, and am I like so
and when we say human longing, I think like the way we were putting it before when we were planning this episode was like when you lie in bed and you're sat there after your day's done, hard day's work or whatever, or day off, whatever, and like or a day off, and you're thinking about it, and you're like, I don't know, that one thing you're like dreaming about almost, right? And the one thing you're like craving for and to chase the next day. And we really believe that, like we've said, that this has a big influence on the way you move and what you do, even when it comes to work or social life, everything like that. It all relates to kind of what you're really searching for in life.
I'm actually going to read a quote.
Go for it.
So not a lot of this, but like for me, I read a book recently. It's called Fill These Hearts by Christopher West. It was a really good book, really challenging book. But it was all about like human longing and human desire. So for me, like when we're talking about this, I'm going to pull in a lot from him. But like what you say about that kind of like, the whole like lying down in bed, all of a sudden it's just you and your thoughts. Yeah. There's this quote that literally when I read it, this is like on page like 4 of the book, but I cried and I was like, okay, I'm in for a long ride.
Good start. Yeah.
But basically it says, sometimes it comes late at night when everything's quiet. We can't sleep and we're all alone with the rhythm of our own breathing and heartbeat. In those moments, if we're brave enough to feel it, we sense the desperation of our own poverty, our own need. We're made for something more, and something more is missing. it eludes us, but whatever it is, we want it and it hurts. Just let that sink in for
and
a
it
second.
hurts. Interesting.
Yeah.
So why'd you cry? No, I'm joking.
You know what?
You just realized
Unless we
something.
want to turn this into
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, this doesn't need to be Courtney's therapy session.
Yeah.
But it's that thing, and I think if you're brave enough to admit it, that something is missing. And again, I love the whole, like, you know, when you're alone and it's just you and your thoughts kind of thing. But I wonder how many of us are actually brave enough to admit that it hurts that something is missing. Because I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but like in society, it's almost like we're supposed to be living our best lives, you know, our most fullest lives.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's vulnerable to admit that you're like longing for something you don't have. But like, why do you think that maybe people aren't maybe necessarily brave enough to admit it, that like something?
Well, it really hurts, doesn't it?
It does.
Because you don't have it. And so I think that's why people ignore this as well. And that's why people are pushing this to the side. Or maybe they're just like, it's almost like ignorance, kind of. And you just
like ignorance is bliss. If you don't know about it, you don't have to deal with it.
Then you don't have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something we're going to come across when we do interviews is people are going to give this is me just assuming here, but people will give like some superficial answers or some answers that are very like, I don't know, I'm chasing a happy life. I don't know, whatever. Just
you're like, really?
very, very just, there's not much meat in there, you know? Yeah. And I think that's because people don't think about it quickly. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it goes back to like the meaning of life, you know, and those big questions of like, is there something bigger out there? Like, I think if you don't believe that there is something bigger or there's something beyond us almost, then I think you will stay on that surface level because you don't think about life as anything more than just 80 years of trying to be happy and then that's it, right? Yeah.
Which is crazy. I cannot imagine thinking that way.
People like I really struggle with that because I'm constantly trying to chase what's next. And like if I'm not good in something, I want to improve, or if I see something that I'm missing, I want to chase whatever it is. And like I'm always like, just naturally that's the way I think, but not everyone thinks like that.
No. And I also think there is there's a huge degree of vulnerability as well.
Yeah.
Because like if it's that thing that's keeping you up at night, like it's more than just like, oh yeah, I want a new job, you know what I mean? Or I want financial security. You know, usually it's something way deeper and way more like intimate and personal. Yeah. And so I think there's a whole thing, like we don't like necessarily talk about it either. You know, you don't just all of a sudden go up to your friends and be like, hey, do you want to know what my deepest longing is? I mean, I do, but that's a different story. Because introspective, you know what I mean? And I think that is also a key one that I think we're going to like run into on the streets, but also like, are we vulnerable enough to want to admit to ourselves that we have a longing that, you know, can't quite be quenched or maybe even articulated? Because maybe that's another thing, like when we feel these things, but what if like, you can't even put words to it, you know? Right. Like, it's like this untangible feeling almost that something is missing.
Do you think it's, obviously we touched on this earlier, but do you think it's only a case of I'm missing it, so I'm going to chase it? And like, do you think it could be a case of like you were saying, people who have lots of money, they just want more of it, right? They're not missing money. But
okay, to be not... Yeah. Like, I wouldn't say that they're actually just chasing money. Like, I would tell you, okay, that is your superficial answer.
Cool.
But you're not actually chasing money. What's deeper? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, and for example, that might be like a surface answer that we'll get, you know, from someone on the street. But then I want to be like, okay, you say that, but what does money represent to you? Yeah. Because really, the longing is never just for money. It's for what? It's for security. It's for power. It's for...
Do you think it all relates to something that you lack then?
Yeah.
Or you've lacked in the past?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, because if you, like, that kind of, like, I don't know, almost like that emptiness feeling, that ache, you know, you want something to be filled. Right. Which is why, if we're going to go back to, like, it permeates into all of our decisions and stuff, I think this is also, like, why I'm so excited to, like, challenge people on this is because when we're not aware of it, then we start, like, making decisions subconsciously out of our lack.
Yes, yes.
And that could be dangerous. I mean, it's, like, good in some ways, or it's, like, normal or understandable, you know, but
what is the healthy kind of... Because there has to be some kind of healthy balance. Because when you do move out of something that you lack, it's moving out of fear, right? Yeah. It's moving out of fear of not having that, so I need to chase it, and you're just... Yeah, you're running around after something. And everything you do in your life and decisions you make, you're just running around after something. Yeah. And sometimes you miss out on things because you're so focused, your eyes are on this, but you're not seeing what's left and right of you.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting because I don't know what like I'm sat here thinking about it now. I'm like, I don't know if it's good that I move off of that. So when you're aware of something like this, and when you're aware of, okay, yeah, this is something that I'm lacking and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, like, does that mean I need to change everything? I don't think that's the answer, right?
No. I think what is more dangerous, though, is moving in the ignorance of your lack. Like not knowing what it is, because then it gets a bit reckless.
Okay, yeah.
Because you don't understand or you don't know the reasons why.
Yeah.
But when, like, you all of a sudden realize, okay, I'm acting this way because I have a lack in this, then you, like...
It's a bit more wisdom about it, right?
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, okay, like, reality check, Courtney, like... You're feeling this way because you're like, okay, is that real? Is that something that needs to be dealt with now? Or is that just way it is now, but like wipe your hands, move on? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? You can kind of catch yourself a little bit better in that sense.
Yeah.
But I think it's the not knowing, it's like the subconsciously moving in the lack that I think reckless is honestly the best. It's reckless for you, and it also could be reckless for others as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. You can't... I don't know, and then you figure out what that human longing is, right? You figure out, okay, this is what I'm thinking about when I lie down in bed. But it could be bad. It could be really unhealthy, and like, does that mean you just drop it? You can't just drop it. It's so, I don't know. I wonder if, I'm just thinking about it now, I'm like, is this healthy or is this unhealthy?
Okay, my thoughts is that everything, the healthy, the unhealthy, it all boils down to something that is like a core human longing, like connection, intimacy,
identity or whatever.
Identity, like all of these things that like make us, like make humans, you know?
Yeah.
Something that like God created us for in that sense. So like maybe my longing for belonging, you know, will look like, I don't know. Okay, like maybe my longing for intimacy will look like codependence, you know? And so I need somebody then.
Yeah.
And that's like not a good thing, you know what I mean? But when my like brain kicks in, like, okay, like, no, like that's what you want. Like you can take away the bad and focus on the actual root of the problem. You know what I mean? Okay, what is that? Like, why do you feel that lack? Like, why are you so desperate to be known? You know, is it because, and you're like, oh, because I'm a human.
Yeah.
You know, like this is why, like, do you know what I mean? Like when you take it away, like the bad things, maybe this is me being optimistic or like always seeing like the good.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. But I feel like when you take off all the layers, there's like a handful of longings that like everything like funnel from, you know?
Yeah.
Or two.
Yeah. And do you think, now obviously we're going to dive into kind of, when we visit these different places in England, like we're going to be looking at like the environment changes and the setting changes and lifestyle, everything changes. Does that change as those things change, right?
Yeah.
Part of me thinks it does because, and what we were saying earlier, because I mean, if you grow up in an environment where you don't have something, even if it's from parents, it doesn't have to be something materialistic. It can be something that, you know, a father figure or a mother figure, and stuff like that. Yeah, then that's what you long for. That's what you seek in your life. But yeah, I don't know. Part of me then also thinks that sometimes the environment just highlights more of like what's actually in you, right? So if I'm in a busier environment or something, maybe, I don't know, maybe that like fast forwards just something that like I have inside that I've been longing since the start. Not even just something that I love, like a dream or something, you know?
And I think as well, like each like society or like culture or even, you know, like city will have different priorities, right? That they like have. And I think that will like switch our priorities too.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and the things that we long, and like the more surface ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you say that there are like two types of longings then? Or not even?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder. Yeah, because I think there's a case where you are just really ambitious, I think, and you are just chasing a big dream, like a big goal, a big vision that you have that you want to reach. But then even something like that, I think it goes back to the roots of like, it maybe comes from something that you wanted to see in your life or wanted to have in your life or whatever. So I don't know if it's a case of it's a set like two different ones. I think it's actually much more. Maybe it is to do with the the environment and whatever environment you grew up in and whatever that case is, then that then sets and defines things. And that is scary to me. I think of that and I think when I'm a parent one day, far away, but when I'm a parent, like that's I feel
it's
like
a big responsibility.
Yeah, there's big shoes like that I'm going to be stepping into, and it kind of sets what my kid longs for almost sometimes, you know, not fully everything to do with me, but you know, what their school and their friends and stuff like that, but I for sure will have a role to play in that, and that is pretty scary, I think. And I think if you then are ignorant of things like this and these big questions, then you move irresponsibly, or you just move in a way that's like you don't realize what effect the impact you're going to be having on those
the repercussions.
Yeah. A bit scary, but
never into Zach's therapy session.
I don't know. That's a big thought. Yeah.
But it is true, and this is why I love these conversations, and like, because we have to start thinking about these things, you know. Because even if you don't have a family, like, again, the way that we move, it will affect our friend groups. It will affect our workplaces. You know, all of this. But the way that I'm even seeing this is like the layer of like the Earth's surface. You know what I mean? And like we long for so many things on so many different levels.
Yeah.
You know, but then like the core is like the thing that makes us human. You know what I mean? Right. What we were like created for. But then there's so many layers of like different like expressions or like branches of that, or things that maybe aren't quite as deep, but they're still the things that we're like after.
I think another thing to look at with this is as we look at like environment and stuff like that, I wonder as well, we should think about the future episodes that we do within interviewing people. Like as you get older or as you get more experience in life, like do these things change? Like does the big longing that you have mold and shape into something different as you get older?
I wonder.
Yeah, because you've lived different experiences. Maybe you're 50 now and you've understood that the thing that you were lacking is something deeper and you don't need to keep searching for that anymore. So what then? You know? Yeah.
Or honestly, like I've talked to many an older person who've become a bit jaded, you know what I mean? Like they had this longing for so long that they didn't and never like saw it come through.
Right.
That they kind of like, you know, like the grumpy old man like stereotype. Like I've talked to many of them here in London.
Yeah.
Who like about like the stuff that we do, like why are you wasting your time with that? Like none of that has meaning. I'm like, oh my word, like what happened? Like yeah. Right. So then I'm also like, oh, but like what if can you become numb to your longing, you know?
Yeah. Can you though? Because
can you really?
Let's say,
are you still moving out of the longing and out of the lack if you're numbing yourself from it?
Numb to it. If you understand the longing and stuff, does that like it doesn't become void, does it? It doesn't change the fact that you still have a longing. I think it's just more like you become aware of like, this is why I move and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And I think you look for actual ways to kind of go about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, stop filling it with junk and start actually looking at, okay, what's actually going to fill me from this? Like, or in this area.
Yeah. I think often the case with something like this as well is people will attach so much of their value or their identity to something that they long for. So they're not quite secure. They're not comfortable with who they are because they're constantly searching for this thing that they don't have. So until they have it, they're not going to have that feeling of not fulfillment, but also like, okay, like this is who I am. I am someone who has this and have reached this point, and now I can say I am this and I am loved, or I don't know, whatever all these things. Yeah. And that's not healthy.
No.
Either.
But then the root of that is identity.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to find things that fill that like definition of who you are.
Yeah.
Go to actually who you are.
Yeah.
As you know what I mean? It's like, at least this is the way that my brain is working and seeing this. But because it's like filling ourselves with things that aren't actually going to satisfy, you know? Very cliche. Yeah. But it's the thing. They're all like, when it's not actually what is meant to fill that longing, then how can you ever actually be filled?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like eating a bag of crisps instead of dinner.
Yeah.
It's fine, but then you're like still hungry because you didn't have any protein or whatever. Like.
Yeah. I think as well, going back to kind of like if people give me a superficial answer, like, is that ignorance or is that just them being completely unaware of these deeper questions in life. Like,
I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people don't ask themselves this.
Right.
Which is why we're doing it.
We're doing this, yeah. Because, like, the classic example, this in the fitness industry at least.
Yeah.
Like, if we come across anyone who is in that space, I know for a fact the answer's going to be like, want to spread, like, I don't know, want people to have a healthy mind and body or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, I want people to have the love for fitness that I do and all these kind of things. And
yeah.
Oh, it's just so like, it's so like on the surface level, and I don't know. I think there's just no,
Depth.
yeah, there's no depth, and they're just not they're not aware of, like, I don't know, the position that they're in and why they're in it, and they don't ask these questions, and yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know how to describe it, but it's very superficial.
Clearly you've come into like,
yeah, and this is a big thing, and I just think, yeah, people who I struggle to relate, but it's not just relating, it's also like, how are they living that, like, they're living their life off of, there's no roots to their, it's just a tree, right? Yeah. I don't know what living like that is like. So, just moving the light here. Like, in all seriousness, I don't know if you know there's any answer for this, but how do people move then? Like, what are they moving off of? Is it just, if there's no depth in someone's life, then how does it work? I don't know. This is a very open thought.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
because
it's a very open thought.
Completely opposite to us.
Yeah. Or is it just pure ignorance? I don't know. Oh, open thoughts here, guys. Yeah. This is me processing
if
out
this
loud.
is you, tell us how you live.
Yeah,
hopefully the people in the streets will
like,
tell us
there's no
too.
direction. When you have a human longing, there's at least a direction, even though it might come off of something that's unhealthy. Yeah. But just being aware of it, then you can move off of it in a healthier way.
Yeah.
But when you don't know what that deep longing actually is, you're just moving like a headless chicken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My favorite quote. Yeah.
Is it?
Headless chicken, kind of, yeah. Well, I enjoy using it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
But yeah. I'm gonna read a second quote from the book.
You found it.
If you'll allow me.
Yeah.
This, because again, we talk about longing a lot and like moving out of longing in a very kind of like, I want to say negative connotation, but like, yeah, we don't want to move out of our lack and all of this kind of stuff. But later on in this book, I don't have a page number, so I'm sorry, I can't cite it properly. But it says, where am I going to start it? So basically, actually, it goes great off the first one. I don't even plan this. But it says, if we listen. So almost like imagine yourself back in the bed, ow, it hurts, my longing, It says, if we listen, we can almost hear a voice whispering to our hearts, it is good to be here. Rest here for a while. Savor it. For this is a taste of what is to come. Let it lift you up. Let it fire you up. Let it give you hope. You're not crazy. You're not wrong to believe there's something more. You will not be unhappy. Have faith. Trust. Open to the gift. It's coming. Your desire for life is not in vain. Courtney cries part 2. But I think it's so beautiful because, like...
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, the fact that, like, we can, like, when we are brave enough to admit that, yeah, I am longing for something more, for something deeper than just the surface and just for, world peace and everyone be happy. Yeah. When I realize and I admit, like, okay, yeah, there is something I am longing for, more, whatever it is. Like, that's good because that means, that you're aware of it. And, like, as I said earlier, like, you can feel it, you know what I mean? And that, like, you can find the right way to feel it and that it's coming. And it's like that expectation, It's a
bit of excitement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you let it, instead of like be depressing, but you let it like give you hope.
Yeah.
Because it's hard, because you can either sit in the pain of it or choose to say like, okay, well, because it's a lack, I know one day it will be filled.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Pretty encouraging to me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. But also like to combat that, so to speak.
I'm trying to have a nice moment here.
I'm sorry. But like putting your hope in something, it's got to be
legit.
You got to be smart about the way you go about something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's more as well, like it's having, like I admitted that I have this deep, lack of connection or belonging, but I have hope that one day it will be like fully satisfied, that I won't have to live feeling like I don't belong.
Yeah.
And then you don't go and try to fill it with the crap anymore. You know what I mean? Like, in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what we want to like encourage people and or challenge people in. Like, do you think that there's more? Are you longing for anything beyond what you can see? You know?
Yeah.
But you can't make people. Maybe you can make people. We'll see if we can make people.
No. But I think it's like, that's why conversations like this help people think like that. Yeah. But that buzz, like in the, you know, when you are lying down, and because sometimes it's not like a case of it like just hurts that you're not there. It's like an excitement of like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to like do this A, B, C and like be closer to it or something like that. But I think we for sure need to break it down. It's not it's not just a vision of what I want to do in my life and what I want to complete. Like, need to clarify, like, this is something like a little bit more deeper and like maybe more to do with your heart and what you're needing and stuff like that. Not just on about like a vision you guys have for like a business or something. I don't know. No. That's like the classic like, entrepreneur.
Yeah, like that's like a surface. We're gonna like the levels of the earth. Yeah, like that's a surface.
But it's more like asking like why you want that.
Yeah.
Or like where does that come from, kind of thing.
Yeah. Why are you so desperate to be successful? It's not just to be successful. Like it never is. There's always something like underneath the surface.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I know. Interesting stuff.
Really good stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll, what kind of answers we'll get. But going back to the hope and, like, putting your hope in something like this, I think, like, the thing that we need to be careful in, just to elaborate more on that, is kind of if it's not coming from a healthy place, then you're putting your hope in something that is... I don't know, are you hoping just to fill that void? And if you are, if the hope is to try and fill that void, then I don't think that's a healthy kind of...
If you're hoping to fill that void and, like, to actually satisfy it?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you have to come to terms, like, you know, one of those nights lying in bed, you know, with the ache in your heart, like, okay, what I have been doing is not satisfying because this is something so much deeper. So then it can start to feel hopeless. So then when you're trying, so like going back to like laying in the bed, right, and you feel that ache.
Yeah.
I think there comes like a point where you have to go, okay, like I am lacking in this, and what I have been trying to fill it with, like this is not working anymore, you know? And that can start to feel a bit hopeless because you realize, okay, like I am lacking in this. I've been filling it with all of this.
Yeah.
And literally that is empty. That has only hurt me. It's only hurt other people or things like that. But then it's in that moment when you like, I feel like it's like a release and you go, okay, so the way that I've been doing it is not working. But I have to like have hope that one day this like I won't always feel this empty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's like putting your hope in the quick fixes or the things. Maybe this will work. Maybe this will work. But it's having that hope when you realize that nothing's been working. Like that hope that, okay, one day it will be filled because I was made for more.
Yes.
And then hopefully there is a genuine kind of like revelation in there as well. I'm not saying everything gets fixed perfectly and 100%, you know.
Yeah.
But
I think it's important as well, just slowly start to wrap, but with like, this is important, I think, to walk with other people in as well. Because I think when you do things yourself and you're searching yourself, you're only seeing what you're allowing yourself to see even. And so when you have other people in your life seeing what you're doing as well, I think that's super key because they see things that you don't see. They see things that you're blind to because you're lacking in something. So you're not even aware of it.
Exactly.
What if you have what you're longing for and you just aren't seeing it? Or because
you can only see the lack.
Yeah, you're only seeing the lack or something. Or, you know, I don't know. I think, it's important that you're not searching for it by yourself.
No,
you know?
And that goes back to vulnerability. Like one of the first points we made, like having these conversations and actually being willing and brave enough to say, hey, like, I kind of think that I'm, you know, lacking in this, or I realize I've been struggling with whatever. Like,
And if you are someone who is more ignorant to these things, or someone who just doesn't want to think about these things, like, oh, my life is great, I'm happy, whatever. Like, I believe there's way more for them, and they just don't realize it. Like, sure, they're happy, but like, wait till you start asking these questions and start being vulnerable like this. And weirdly enough, through like knocking on doors and like putting yourself in harder situations, let's call it, or more critical thinking, you're gonna find like not true happiness, but like true fulfillment, right? And that's
fulfillment.
And that's the big key, right? And
that's literally what I was just about to say. I was like, when this like comes down to it, we're not doing this to like be masochists and to like see what our hearts are aching for and being all dramatic, but it's to like live life in its fullest.
Yeah.
You know?
And people miss out on so much when you don't ask these questions.
Exactly. Because I don't want to move in my lack of longing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to, you know, live the fullness of life that was promised to us. Like,
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And when you're ignorant, I think you're just fearful and just scared of like the truth. Weird, innit?
It is.
Weird, innit? Man, them chat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I tap out.
Welcome to England, yeah. Anyway, yes. So, food for thought there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully you could follow that, but
yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And we're going to see what the rest of England is like.
What they have to say, what the people have to say.
We're going to be in Birmingham. We're going to Weymouth as well, which is, Birmingham's like it's supposed to be the second largest city in the UK.
Supposed to be.
Okay, I say that because it's nothing like London.
Literally.
Very different.
No, it's very different.
It is busy and stuff, but it's very different.
Yeah.
Very whole different vibe.
Yeah.
But then we're also going to Weymouth, which I'm more excited for because I think we'll get very different answers.
It's like coastal beach town.
Yeah. Very different to here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course our beloved London.
Yes. Yeah, love it. Which will be good. So.
Yeah, so make sure you stay tuned for those episodes that will be coming out right after this and the following weeks. And yeah, hopefully this has caused you to think about what you long for when you're lying awake at night at 2 a.m. What's your heart aching for? You can message me. We can talk about it.
Courtney will be up.
I'll be up, so it's fine. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, you can find us in the typical locations.
Yes.
Not locations, but here we are.
Yeah.
We are on all streaming platforms that podcasts are on, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram and TikTok, which we will get better at posting at, everyone. That is a goal that we have.
Yeah.
It is my goal. I'm telling Zach right now. It is also his goal.
It is, yeah.
But of course, guys, until then, we are the anchor of the week. And remember, we attack topics, not people. See you soon.
See you later.